Episode number 804, When to Say No to a One-to-One.
You're listening to the official BNI podcast with BNI founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Dr. Ivan Misner. Stay tuned for networking and referral marketing tips from the man who's been called the father of modern networking, along with suggestions and insights into getting the most from your membership in the world's largest networking organization, BNI.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official BNI podcast. I'm Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio in Berkeley, California, and I'm joined on the phone today by the founder and the Chief Visionary Officer of BNI, Dr. Ivan Misner. Hello, Ivan. How are you, and where are you?
Well, I think I mentioned in the previous weeks that I went to the Inland Valley in Southern California, my old stomping grounds in Orange County. Which was it's great to be back to where I grew up and to see my grandson, Ethan. So my first grandson. So it was a great trip. By the way, Priscilla, this week marks the 16th anniversary for the BNI podcast. And so it's been a great experience.
Wow. What can I say? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you've done like 95% of the podcast with me. So
I know.
I have a guest with me today, and anyone who's been listening to the podcast over the years will recognize this guest. It is Tiffany Kellogg, who has been a part of BNI since 2005. She's the training team coordinator in BNI West Central Florida. And she has the honor of traveling all over, both in person and via Zoom, sharing her expertise in referral marketing and networking. Tiffany is featured on both BNI Business Builders as well as the BNI podcast, where she and Jeremy Walsh have had the most guest appearances. Jeremy and Tiffany have had the most guest appearances here on the BNI podcast. Tiffany, welcome back to BNI podcast.
Thank you for having me. And I'm really excited because it's the anniversary of the podcast. And it's actually my 18th year anniversary this week of the very first BNI meeting that I went to.
Well, that's fantastic. I am so pleased to have you in the organization for 18 years. And it's ironic that it be the same week that the podcast started. So you've got a great topic, and so I want to jump right in, and that is, when is it okay to say no to a one-to-one? So answer that for me. When is it okay to say no to a one-to-one?
So the answer is never is it okay to say no to a one-to-one if you still want to generate referrals from that member.
Yeah, well, I think that's really good. And by the way, you've tricked people with that question, but I love it because the answer I think is absolutely correct. So what's the purpose of one-to-one?
So our goal is to build our relationships, to move from visibility to credibility to profitability. And if we say no to a one-to-one, we're really stopping that. And we may not actually say no to the one-to-one and the person hear it and say, oh, they don't want to be in the relationship with me. Right. But if we're too busy for our fellow BNI members, then it is stopping the relationship. If you're too busy for a one-to-one, how are you going to have time to take care of the referral I want to pass you?
Right. Yeah, very true. And you never know what can come from a one-to-one, even if you don't think that person has much to contribute to you. I think I may have mentioned this in a podcast. I went to a business meeting and sat next to a college student. I was first thought, geez, what am I doing? Sitting next to this college student. There's all these business people that I want to sit next to. And I thought, okay, buck up, buttercup. You're an expert on networking. Network with this girl. So I just asked her lots of questions and got her to open up. And do you know what that did? Was one of the business associates at that meeting came up to me afterwards and said, thank you. I said, why? He said, nobody ever talks to my daughter like that. Nobody ever, they all want to sit next to the business people, but you just got her to open up. And I really appreciate what you did at dinner. And so I ended up making a good connection with a business person, and I hardly talked to him at all.
Yeah.
So you never know where a one-to-one can lead. Mm-hmm. So letting another topic that you wanted to talk about was letting members know that it's okay to schedule in advance. Talk about that.
Yeah. Sometimes I think people are like, I want to do a one-to-one. How is today? How is tomorrow? And what I found is there's two kinds of people in this world. those that keep their schedule today and tomorrow, and those that keep their schedule, let's talk 2 to 4 weeks from now.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
me.
I'm the same way most of the time. And so I think it's important to share with people, yes, let's get it on the calendar, even if it's later this month. And I know there are certain professions that have busy times. For example, the accountants trying to get the taxes done by April 15th, people that do retail type space and being busy in the holidays. And I think most people would easily understand the CPA saying, I would love to do a one-to-one with you. Can we schedule for the week after the April 15th
Totally.
deadline?
Yeah.
We just have to be open with people and say, yes, I want to.
Yeah, totally agree. And you have to understand what their time restraints are,
Yes.
just as you said. Yeah. All right. So how do you make the most out of each one-to-one?
So I think it starts with setting an intention for the one-to-one. Many BNI members that I know are like, do you want to do a one-to-one? And that's kind of it. I love to say, what is the intention? What is the purpose of the one-to-one? What are we looking to accomplish? And if it's a beginning one-to-one, I love utilizing the Gains profile as a tool to help me move from visibility, credibility into profitability. If it's somebody that I'm at that higher level with, one of my favorite podcasts that you've done that I reference all the time is episode 683 by you and Tim Roberts, talking about one tool for hundreds of referrals. That's a brilliant podcast to say, let's do this in our one-to-one, listen before, and then make it happen.
Yeah, that's a great podcast. And was there one thing in particular that you liked that you'd pull out of that you think is relevant?
What I think is most powerful about it is that we are taking what's already on our calendar and using that to generate referrals. So it's not taking a lot of extra time out of our day. It's making the most of what's already in your calendar.
Right. Well, I'm glad you brought up the Gains Exchange because I think it's very powerful and I like to use it. I think every now and then, if you're having a one-to-one with somebody for the third or fourth time, it's good to update the Gains Exchange. But, certainly the second time you have it, you probably don't need to do it. But I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes.
Do you have a couple of time-saving tips with one-to-ones?
One of the things that I like to do is a stack day. And I probably did this more in person than with doing the Zoom, but I would schedule a stack day where I would pick a quiet restaurant corner or a nice little business setting. And I would schedule 3, 4, 5, 6 back-to-back one-to-ones. And I would meet with the person, then the next person, then the next person. And this saved me a lot of time because I wasn't traveling to each of them. I wasn't trying to find parking. I wasn't dealing with traffic. It's just, I'm here. Let's do the one-to-ones.
Well, I love that.
Especially when I'm driving far away.
Yeah, fair enough. I love that. And I don't know if you know this, but I do that. I started it a few years ago called Founders Day. I do it the week before my birthday. And I felt the best birthday gift for me would be to talk to as many members as I possibly can. And so my birthday is June 30th. So I think it's the Thursday before June 30th is Founders Day. And if you're listening to this, go to my social media or go, talk to your director, or I'll be posting it up in various places. And you can apply. And I do about between 14 and 16 one-to-ones. I do 30-minute one-to-ones all day long.
Yeah.
And I stack them up. And I think it's a great way to connect with members. So look for that in June. You'll probably go out in the end of May, the information. So the end of May, look for the Founders Day information, which is basically a stack day. Love the idea, Tiffany. Okay. Give us a PS or a bonus. I know you have a bonus statement that you want to share. So tell us what it is.
So not that long ago, you did episode 788, Room Full of Referrals, the 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
And I think Room Full of Referrals and the behavioral styles plays a massive part in creating successful one-to-ones and having more successful one-to-ones. So you talk about go-getters, promoters, nurturers, and examiners. And would it surprise you, I mean, it won't, but maybe those of you listening, to know that you might want to do your one-to-ones a little bit different based on the behavioral styles of the person you're meeting with?
Yeah, definitely.
And so I actually just got done with a free ebook that's coming out, and we take a look at even with the gains. So if I'm meeting with a go-getter, I might want to start with goals and accomplishments. If I'm meeting with a promoter, they may not have a gains. If they do, then they may want to start with interest. Examiners, please go in order, because that would just be weird to go out of order on a worksheet.
I love it. And you're absolutely right. Using the behavior profiles, the concepts in the room full of referrals is a great idea to do one-to-ones with. I think that's just about everything, but I know Priscilla had a question that I would love for you to ask Priscilla. We're running out of time, but I think we have enough time for it.
Well, I was just talking about not having enough time to do the one-to-ones that people request. And so I was hoping there was a way to deal with that.
Yeah, Tiffany, share your thoughts on that.
So when somebody says, hey, Tiffany, I'd love to do a one-to-one, of course I would. And then I might follow up with, would you please send me the agenda of what you want to cover so we can get the one-to-one on the calendar? Because if somebody's like, oh, I want to do a one-to-one to brainstorm on how to generate this referral for you, that might want to get on the calendar quicker. If it's just a, hey, let's catch up, then there's not as much of an urgency. And so it gives us the opportunity to, see where to put it on the calendar. Though I'll share sometimes, Priscilla, people don't follow up with the agenda. And if they don't follow up with the agenda, maybe they weren't serious enough about really wanting that one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that eliminates some. And then what I would add to that is that those who do follow up, it's okay to say, I'd be happy to do it. I'm available in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Set it up for a time that you're actually available. You don't have to drop everything to do that one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
But if the person is going to spend the time to say, hey, here's what I'd like to talk about, I think it's important to do that one-to-one.
Yeah, I like the idea of the agenda. That seems like a great idea.
Yeah. And that response might be as simple as, hey, I'd like to, redo the gains exchange or something. But at least they're getting back and they're serious.
Yes. They've got an intention. Because sometimes I've had a member be like, I have a new product. And I'm like, how long do you think that's going to take? 5 minutes to tell you about it. Why don't we catch up after the meeting? We'll do that and we'll save the one-to-one for later. Great idea.
All right. Tiffany, for people who want to get a hold of you, they can go to TiffanyKellogg.com. That's Tiffany, TIFFANIE, Kellogg.com, or Tampa.ascentive, ASENTIV.com. You also have a link for your complimentary ebook. Do you want to share that?
Yeah. So it takes the room full of referrals, puts it together with one-to-ones in the gains profile. And that link is bit.ly/the-referral-mindset.
Fantastic. Tiffany, thank you for being on the BNI podcast. Once again, it's always great having you on.
Thank you so very much, Ivan. Thank you, Priscilla.
You're welcome, Tiffany. Okay, well, I think that's it. Thank you so much to both of you. This podcast is sponsored by MeisnerAudioprograms.com. These audio programs will provide you with the tools and the inspiration to powerfully enhance your BNI experience. So check out the great material that's available to you at MeisnerAudioprograms.com. And then use the promo code IVAN50 for 50% off of everything. All of the proceeds go to the BNI Foundation. Thank you so much for listening. This is Priscilla Rice, and we look forward to having you join us again next week for another exciting episode of the official BNI podcast.